Hey everyone, it's Diabetic Danica, and today I'm going to give you some tips on traveling with diabetes. I'm leaving on a jet plane. In the past 4 months, I have traveled to Florida and New Jersey, and then at the end of this next month, September, I'm going to England. So I've had some experience recently with the TSA and packing and all that, so I thought I would share some tips with you guys. Also in the past, I've been to Japan with diabetes and other places, so I know what I'm talking about. So the biggest thing you probably worry about with traveling would be the TSA, because if you have devices like me, like pumps and CGMs, a lot of the time they can't go through the machine, and so it can be this whole ordeal to get past security. So here is what I do. Basically, I get up to the line and I get to the point where you put all your stuff in the bin, and I do that, and then I talk to the person who's before any of the machines. I don't put my pump or CGM in the bin. I disconnect from my pump and I talk to someone before any of the walkthrough machines, and I just say this. Hi, I have 2 medical devices that can't go through the machines. Can you do a separate inspection of these? This is an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor, and they're both for diabetes. I'll also usually turn on the screen so they can see that it is what I'm saying it is. Maybe turn on the screen of my pump. A lot of the time they've seen pumps before. They've seen these things millions of times, but CGMs are newer, and a lot of the time they're like, wait, let me see what that is. They want to see this one more closely, just so you know. So they take it from you, and you just go ahead and walk through the machines. I also make sure to reiterate that I can go through the machine. It's just my devices that cannot. So I will say, I can walk through the machine, but these just can't. It'll break them. And I think there is one machine that this can go through, but I'm not sure exactly which one it is, and so I just do a blanket statement they can't go through any of them, because I would hate to have it go through and break. So I just don't do any machines for these. The cool thing though is that the transmitter on my body for the Dexcom, it can go through the machine, so I can totally walk through. You shouldn't need a pat down, honestly. The first time I went through security with my CGM, they gave me a pat down, but that's because I wasn't specific enough. They thought that I couldn't go through the machine, and by the time I communicated to them that I could, we were already in the pat down area and all ready to do it, so they're like, we'll just do it anyway. And I was like, okay. But if you specify that you can go through the machine, they shouldn't do that. But unfortunately, every TSA agent and airport is going to be different, and so they have a different way of handling it sometimes. So if they're very we have to do a pat down, just do it. It'll be over pretty fast. So anyway, your stuff goes through the bin machine metal detector x-ray thingy. They take your pump and CGM, you walk through the machine, you do the body scanner. I thought maybe it would show up my transmitter on the body scanner thing, and it totally didn't. So the first time I told them where it was so they would know, it didn't show up. But you know what did show up? A bobby pin and my medical ID bracelet, and that was it. And I was like, alright. So I don't tell them where the transmitter is. So yes, and you get through and they'll have you come over to this other machine, and a lot of the time they're really nice, and they'll bring your stuff from the bins and set it by you so it's near you. And basically they wipe down your pump and your CGM with this cloth thing, and they'll take your hands and wipe down your hands as well, and they test that cloth for explosive material. They're basically just making sure you don't have bombs. That's it. They'll put it in the machine, a green light will pop up and be like, it's clear, or whatever it says, and then you're good to go, and they'll be like, okay, here's your stuff back, and then you leave. It's that easy. Now moving on to packing. So for packing with diabetes, you want to pack pretty much all of your diabetes supplies in your carry-on, and there's a good reason for this. Now I know you probably think, oh, how often do people's luggage get lost? That's not going to happen to me. But it happens more often than you think, and if it does happen to you, worst vacation ever. Now this hasn't happened to me or anything, but that's because I always pack stuff in my carry-on, right? I'll bring my sets and my cartridges and my meter and everything I could possibly need, so that if my luggage does get lost, I have it with me. And you might be worried that they'll see it in the x-ray machine and see all these needles and be like, oh no, in security line, but they totally don't. I've never had anyone comment on my diabetes supplies in my bag, so don't even worry about that. Now you're probably wondering, how much diabetes supplies should I pack, right? So I am under the rule that if you look at your suitcase and you say, I am never going to use all of these supplies, that is perfect. That is exactly what you need to do. You should never be able to use all your supplies ever. You're there for a week and you see all these supplies and you know that you're never going to use them all, that's great. What I usually do is I will pack enough sets, infusion sets for my pump, to change it every single day. Because I know I'm not going to change it every day, but some days I have to change it twice. I have to change yeah, I've had to change a set twice in one day before because it ripped out. Especially on vacation, you're doing stuff you don't usually do, and so you might have an instance where it gets ripped out. Say you go swimming or rock climbing or something awesome, and so you just want to be prepared, like super prepared. And say you get stranded somewhere and you use your last set because, you know, a flight is delayed or canceled or something, or like a national tragedy, you want to have that stuff with you. Cartridges are a little less like because you can reuse them, so I usually just bring enough to change normally, like every 2 or 3 days. And then I usually just bring all the test strips I have. And I'll also bring extra insulin, so I have my open vial in my purse, and then I'll have the refrigerated one and maybe one other one if I want, at least one extra. And hopefully you have like some sort of insulation. If not, you can just wrap it up in like a sweatshirt. I usually do that, and keep it in your carry-on because you don't want to lose that insulin. And some stuff you might not think to pack: extra batteries for your pump and for your meter, and if you have a CGM, like the charger. Also, an extra meter is really good. I went on my trip to New Jersey where my internship was, and I brought an extra meter and extra poker, and I totally ended up needing them. One of my meters, my main meter, it malfunctioned, so I had to use my backup for a while, and then I dropped my poker on the way to the gym, and so I had to use another one because I literally couldn't find it. I dropped it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was really glad I brought those. And of course, bring lots of snacks. On the plane, you're not always going to have the opportunity to wave down the flight attendant if you're low. So I just bring a bunch of snacks, put it all in my bag. The one thing you don't want to bring in your carry-on that's diabetes related is juice. Please put that in your suitcase or just buy it when you get there because, you know, it might be too big for the liquid limit or whatever it's called. So yeah, I think those are all my travel tips. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Have fun on all your travels, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye! P.S. If you're thinking of not traveling because you have diabetes, that is silly. Please travel. Don't let it stop you. Power to the diabetics. You can also like me on Facebook at Diabetic Danica, just type that in, and on Twitter I am DMarieIsMe, and same on Instagram as well. I'm all over the social media.